I wanted to ask you guys, what are you doing as a board to kind of address the schools that have populations that are changing? Because I know here at Brook Hollow, we have seen the population has changed. You know, you have kids who are in single family, you know, single parent families. You have more kids who are in, you know, both parents working. And just in the 7 years, I mean, the 4 years that my child's been here. So what is the board doing to kind of address that, to be more sensitive to those kind of changing populations?
Another good question. Are you sure y'all didn't think of this before we walked in the door?
I didn't even know you guys were going to be here.
Okay.
There was a school board questions for dummies.
I totally agree with you. When I actually started teaching in Porterville, we had about a 20% free and reduced lunch population, and we now have a 52% free and reduced lunch population. So I've definitely, seen those changes as a board member. Just something that we just approved to do at the last board meeting is we know that we have kids with greater needs in our schools than we've ever had before. And so one of the things that we agreed to invest in is every single elementary school at the 2nd grade level is going to get an additional intervention teacher in order for us to work very closely. As Mario was saying, our biggest return on investment is working with those little ones so that they're prepared to transition from, learning to read to the point where they're reading to learn. And so that's where we get our biggest bang for our buck. And so we've said some of that additional money that we see potentially being freed up from the legislature, we want to invest that at that level because we know we have high need kids there as well. I think another thing that we're doing is we're increasing our dual language and bilingual programs across the district. And one program that I'm extremely proud of is the dual language program where we have students that are both native English speakers and native Spanish speakers initially going into a class starting in kindergarten, and they grow together learning both languages. I think, in my opinion, this values the bilingualism and not just says it's important to learn English and do away with learning Spanish. It says for every child in our district, we'd like to see them all become bilingual. So that's another one that we're doing to kind of address. We've added a Vietnamese bilingual program. I don't know if you guys know that, but we have a very large Vietnamese population. And after we did it for 1 year, the population doubled the next year because it was so popular. So we're trying to really, look at the needs of the kids and really our job is to make investments. We don't decide the minutia. We say, here's what the vision is. It's serving every single kid, no matter what their background is. And then how are we going to make sure that the budget matches our goals? And that's what the board does.
And you're right that the demographics across Texas are changing, but particularly here in Pflugerville, since this is our interest, I think we need to start, continue working on the mindset of our staff and population community. That mindset is the number one thing that is going to really make implementation of programs easier to implement. I think at times are still thinking small Pflugerville, and so with this ethnicity population that we are into our district, it takes a different type of encouragement, it takes a different type of instruction. So we have to kind of provide the staff development to have teachers build their capacity to teach those kids across the district. The mindset is that you are going to have these type of kids in the classroom. The other part is the RTI process system. It's the response to intervention, and that is real solid in the elementaries. We had it at Farmer Lane before it was called RTI. Can't remember what it was called.
It's more like a student success initiative.
Teacher support.
Exactly.
So you identify students that are behind at that level, and so you provide interventions. And these are very specific interventions where you can know whether there is growth in a period of time, and if there is not growth, then you move them to another tier. There's 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So the thing that concerns me is that a lot of work is done in the elementaries, but that is not transitioned to the middle schools and high schools. We need to develop a transitional plan that keeps the data and keeps the information on the students so that there won't be any lags in the progress of growth.
Johnny, do you have anything to?
Well, there actually said a lot of, I think one of the things though, and this is just back to me, when you talk about the changing demographics, is also those who are in the classroom, making sure that we acquire and retain teachers who are able to actually affect that. And I mean, I think one of the biggest things is, I can't remember what information I was looking at, but I thought I saw something where we're kind of a little bit above the state average as far as teacher turnover. And so for me right now, I want to make sure that as we get ready to go down the road and that change becomes not happening, that we have teachers in place and they understand that. And so that's one thing I would hope that we would kind of continue to put out there and actually kind of shore up and put a greater foundation on. So,